Sequencing emotion in delicate formation. Numerology's wisdom is a language of vibration. Welcome to the Numerology Hour. Host Kelly Brickel is a numerologist, psychic medium, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether it's working with spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, precision and heart always enters the equation. Now, your host of the Numerology Hour, Kelly Brickel.
Hey, welcome to the start of the Numerology Hour on WLTK-DB. I'm Kelly Brickel, and this show is dedicated to everything numerology, from you learning about numerology in a way where it just goes back to the essence of the numbers, or in a way where you can experience readings, learning about the week's energy, the day's energy, and events, people along the way. Everything can be decoded in numbers. All language goes back to numbers. The system of numbers is based on how we view the world, how we size up the world, how we understand the world. So when it comes down to just something as simple as mathematics, or like things we use every day, like a phone number or a website, it all breaks down into a certain vibration. And those vibrations and those numbers have certain feelings and meanings and archetypes, and they operate in a certain way. So it's kind of like when you get down to building a computer and how do things function on its most basic level. It's 0 and 1. It's on and off. Is energy on? Is energy off? Is energy on? Is it off? And that's what it comes down to. It's like, what are just the building blocks of the energy that we find ourselves in on a daily basis? And we're born into certain energies from what we are given from our parents. And we make certain energies actively with what sometimes we choose for ourselves. Like sometimes we change our name. Sometimes we decide to change fundamental things about ourselves where our whole energy does change and people respond to us differently. And so it's so complex and so easy at the same time. So the podcast is perfect. The show is perfect because it showcases so many different things every week that we will have coming up. But honestly, it makes things so simply understood too. Like, hey, we'll just talk about what the number 5 means, right? And if we have a 5-week or a 5-day, and you'll start to understand how the energy does work in very practical matters. And then in other ways, we'll talk about more intricate meanings of what the numbers are and how they work, because it's just so never ending. It really is. That's why it excites me on a certain level. I think if I knew of a system such as numerology and I studied it for a couple years and I go, well, it's based on this and we can do kind of this and that, and that's how we understand who you are as a person and where you're going, I don't think I would still be here. I'm still here because you can take numerology to learn about any relationship that you have with a spouse, with someone you're dating, with your friends, with business relationships, your children. You can see how the energy correlates with your own energy. You can see how it progresses with your own energy. You can see just from the chart if someone very easily would be a lifelong friend, or if you have good rapport or natural flow of conversation. You can see all that just within the numbers. And it's so exciting. It's so fun. With business, you can plan for trends and how your energy operates and is most favorable on certain dates, how it easily expresses itself, how it just functions to what's in your chart, because we all have life paths. People talk about that a lot in numerology. The life path number, the life path number. In astrology, it's like your sun. How's your sun being expressed? And your life path is what you are going to always come back to, whether you get distracted, whether you don't know what you're doing, you will always come back to the energy of your life path. And that is your birth date added up and reduced to one digit. If it's a master vibration, you take that master vibration, but then you still reduce it as well, but you look at both numbers. Okay. And we'll get into what that means. But for the essence of what it means to have your life path, you are just going to be interested in things of that vibration. You are going to be always finding yourself kind of wanting to have a profession with things of that vibration, having relationships with things geared towards those understandings. And so when I say the life path number, well, some people go, well, yeah, maybe I understand the life path, but concept of you'll always return to your path, but what about the numbers? Well, the numbers all have laws. The numbers all mean something within their archetype. So in numerology, there's many different types of numerology, okay? So I just to make it very clear do Western numerology, Pythagorean numerology. And so there's overlap in all of them and they're similar with a lot of ways that they read the numbers, but they're very different too as well. So within Western numerology, Pythagorean numerology, it deals with the numbers of 1 through 9 largely. Okay. Master numbers are included, and those are repeating numbers or like double numbers or triple numbers. It's any number just repeated. Okay. So you could have 2 ones that are an 11, or you could have 66 ones. That's considered a master vibration if it adds up to that number, if you are seeing that number presenting. Okay. And numerology does acknowledge the number 0. It does, but it's an amplifier number rather than a vibration within itself. It ups the potential, just like master vibrations up the potential. And when you have a repeating number, things are always still reduced. So that 11 is still added and reduced, even if you have a master number. That 22 is still added and reduced. So if you have a 22, and you're like, this is my life path, I'm a 22, you're a 4 actually, but with a 22 expression. So it always reduces down to the simplicity of what is that number? Is it 1 through 9? And then you look at additionals to understand more about the context of that number for yourself. Okay. So let's get into it. I always like to go into the descriptions of the numbers because everything is based around it. We have the 1 through 9. So 1 is the vibration of independence, innovation. It's the energy of breaking away from the pack or new beginnings. In a sense, it can sometimes be indication of, a young soul, a fresh beginning, or it could be an indication of an old soul, very confident in walking the path alone. So the 1 is basically responsible for really cultivating the self. Okay. So it can come from a place of this is just what I want. These are my intentions, a very pure place, or it can come from a very evolved place. I need to go this direction, and it's okay if no one else understands me. 1 has a very fiery energy to it and also a very airy energy to it. So some of the elements have some of the numbers have certain qualities and elements to the vibration. The 1 does symbolize creation. 1 was just birthed into existence. But the 1 itself is such a imaginative number of what the 1 can be, what the 1 can do. It's almost like the fool following itself in the world saying, what do I want to become? Or, oh, I can be this. And it's like all possibilities are able to be. It's just a matter of what are you going to do about it? And 1's in their life path, and the more someone has ones in their chart, they're naturally very motivated people. They're naturally very driven people because they are unburdened sometimes by the problems around them, or they're unburdened by certain responsibilities because life goes, look, we're going to eliminate things for you because you really have to focus on yourself. So you can get into situations where if you're life path one and you have additional ones or vibrations similar to the one energy, you might not always find yourself in a relationship. You might find that you have to be around really unique people, or you have to be a leader in your group. It's not good to be burdened with this number. You have to express your uniqueness. You have to express the way that you want to bring imagination and new ideas into the world. And you can't be influenced by prior ideas. You can't be bogged down by people giving you their perspectives and saying, you should really do this. It's better to do that. Okay. So a lot of people find, it's 11:11 right now in my part of the world. I'm in California, it's Pacific time, and I just noticed it's 11:11. And that's a very auspicious number. It's the doors opening, multiple doors opening, not just one doorway opening of energy, but the one and the one, inviting you to all potential, all possibilities, and that new things are coming your way to get ready for new energy. Sometimes you can't see it coming. And so, since there's so many doors, there's so many possibilities available, saying, don't worry, you can't miss it. If you don't go through that door, there's another one waiting for you. Okay. So 11:11 is awesome because you always have at least two doorways that you can see of where you can go and access your next stream of energy. But with going back to one energy, it does lend itself to sometimes you will find yourself in areas where you have to be more alone. Now, you need people around you to cultivate the uniqueness that you want to bring to the world, but you will be in a more leadership role, or you will be in a role where you have more autonomy if you're really fulfilling yourself. So, right, the relationship sometimes can have strain because you can't have a partner that holds you back. You can't have a partner that doesn't allow you to be free. And relationships are very give and take. So sometimes it's like, I don't have the tools, or I don't have the environment where I can freely be my own independent soul and still thrive. So I do see a lot of people with life path ones. Either they have a very accommodating relationship, or they don't always have that consistent partner, and they are single sometimes for more extended periods. Sometimes they prefer it, sometimes they do not prefer it. So it's very, very interesting. The one is airy as well as fiery that I talked about. People are saying hello. Hey, hello, Steve. Hello, Tracy. Oh, and I like that. In Central Time, it was 1:11. Okay, so the 11 was still highlighted. I love it. I love it. Um, and the numbers are so important when you see messages like that. We'll go into that in a second. If you just find yourself looking at the same time every day. But with the one energy in itself, it has that airy energy because it's so much a thinking energy. It's so much from the imaginative realm. It's so much for, I dream it, then let's see if I can do it. I think about it. Let me give this idea forward. So sometimes they don't always do it themselves, but they're the idea person. They're the leadership person. They're the person that goes, okay, what do we need to do to get this off the ground? And I might not be the best person. Let me give you the knowledge, and then I'll just keep bringing the innovation. So no matter what one is, it's very progressive and individualistic, and it needs to be creative or in a leadership energy to thrive. Hello, Sherry. Hello. And I want to say too as well, towards the end of the show, we'll always the vibe, the flavor is we're going to take a couple numerology readings because I want this to be, just food for thought with what vibrations are and how they apply to us every day. But I also want to just have fun and have readings towards the end. So if you stick around, everybody, I'm going to take a couple readings towards the end of the hour and we'll have fun like that. So, all right, let's go on to two, the vibration of two and how it expresses within the life path. Two is the number of connection. It's the number of interrelationships. It's the number of empathy, cooperation, mediation. The two naturally, and especially in the life path placement, will always gravitate to just being connected to others in a way that they can't help but empathize, in a way that they can't help but on a certain level understand or connect to. So twos naturally, since it's not even a conscious thing, it's a subconscious orchestration with how they relate to others. Their nervous system just feels what other people feel. They experience what other people feel. They know what other people feel. So they have very good gut instincts and intuition. A lot of times people will talk about with numerology that two is a very psychic number because of the empathy levels. Okay. So a lot of the numbers can be very psychic, but the two just feels what other people feel, rather they are in front of them, or let's say they walk in a room and feel the energy of a space and what's been there. They just feel what is around them and they can't help but kind of not separate their internal reality and environment from the external environment. It's all connected for them. And depending on how they develop their sensitivities, the more that will just naturally increase and stack. So you can have very adept people in understanding communications and translating and like an excellent translator, an excellent mediator, an excellent relator when you have very positive, high functioning two energy. You also will have people that are very scattered and nervous and fried with two energy because they are constantly having to account for extra stimulus on a routine basis, whether they are around people or not. There is just this internal feeling of I'm processing always much more than my own stuff, right? As long as they're thinking about a friend, sometimes they will link up to their friend's energy and feel what their friend is feeling. It can be as subtle as that. And of course, that would apply for the more sensitive individuals, but it goes to that level. The two just plugs in everywhere. A two would be much more relationship based than the rest of your numbers, whether they have success in relationships or they have devastating results in relationships. They will be more gravitated to wanting to be in a relationship or a committed relationship on average than the other numbers. You would have to see the overall chart though. There's people with a life path two, and they really don't have a lot of other twos in their charts. And so it would dampen that. So I want you to think like that. But they would always return back to being fascinated by having somebody in their life and feeling fully supported if someone was in their life, feeling more grounded if someone was in their life, that they want to shower someone with love and attention. That too is like, I want my life to include another, or within career, I want my life to involve directly relating to another. Okay, so you'll have like counselors or people that want to do words, right? Conflict resolution for people. So it's basically two is the number of peace too. Since they feel so much, they're just like, I want to be centered within myself. I want there to be centeredness within the world. So they deal a lot of times within family, friendships, relationships, career with conflict resolution because they have their thumb on the pulse of the energy. They go, that's not right. You really didn't like that. Oh, okay. There's still discord here. Okay. So does that make sense? The life path pulls us back to wanting these things within our life. and not only wanting, but know that we just naturally operate in that way. And we need to discover more and more of who we naturally are. Okay. Um, Someone is asking a question. So, Caprice, what a beautiful question. Is a number chart the same as a human chart? So, a number chart, a numerology chart, is when you are taking somebody's birth date and then the name they go by in the world, and the name that they were born into the world with. You're going to have to count for much more detail within looking at someone's name, but the name must be accounted for to a certain degree, absolutely, when constructing a chart. And you understand who they are based on their identity with their name and their identity with the energy they came into the world with. Okay. And that is how you look at just the bare bones of a numerology chart. And from that information, you'll able to find more equations and you'll able to look at more things with what that person wants help with or what that person wants clarity with. Okay. So, hey, Michael. Hey, Mike. Uh, Thank you. Thank you. I'm sending love to you right back. That's great. It's great to see you. I love when my friends come in and send me love. It's a treat. It's so nice to see you, Mike. So we are bouncing to the number 3. So the vibration of 3 really delves into creativity on the next level that goes beyond the self. So the 1 was creativity and inspiration from the self, but 3 is when you really open end the energy on the next level because it's the number of communication, it's the number of speaking and listening, it's the number of comedy, it's the number of artistry. Okay. In order for you to be an artist, in order for you to speak, someone needs to listen to you. In order for you to express yourself, someone needs to receive you. So it's a number that cannot be done in a solo like way. Just like the 2 can't be done in a solo like way. But the 2 is more intimate with its relations, and the 3 is more group orientated in its relations. The 3 wants to get the message out to as many people as possible. So crowds are important for 3 energy. A lot of different types of audiences that fulfill the message are focused on with getting this vibration out because the 3 has inspiration with something to say or talent to give, whether it's a message of words and poetry and laughter or it's an expression of talent that imposes understanding and remembrance with the people around them. Okay, so music is expression, right? Singing is expression. Um, Movement is expression. So it doesn't even have to be purely with your voice. A lot of times when you see 3 energy, sometimes it lends itself to more expression with voice, but not always. It just has to be an expression where people are able to see you and feel things from you and receive understanding from you. Okay. So 3 is a very, very social number. It's a very social number in what it means to be happy to be fulfilled in your job. And it's a very social number with how it operates with friends and family. Okay. As a 3, there's almost like this gesture energy. There's this energy that always will pull you to doing things for other people or, making other people laugh. And so there has to be boundaries with the 3 energy at times because other people feel so good in the 3's presence that the 3 goes, well, this is my job to make other people feel good. This is my job to put a smile on other people's face because they know that the way that they express themselves, they can see how it affects other people because it does. Certain numbers shine in a way where it impresses people because it's their job to. Other people's numbers go more inward because it's their job to. All right. So there's these internal and external mechanisms that turn on within us that make us operate in a certain way to get the job done. Like one size does not fit all. Okay. There has to be a spectrum, just like color. There has to be a spectrum that allows us to be different parts of the human experience. And we get to mirror those vibrations off one another to truly understand and appreciate life. So 3 is very extroverted and it pulls people towards you. Okay. So in a 3 life path, you will always be drawn to making sure that you are in some type of communications, artistry, media, in a way where your voice or expression is done. In the most corporate tailored settings where people have 3s, they are trainers. They are people who do presentations. They're the individuals that speak for the group. You have to have eyes on you. You have to be bouncing around the office. You can't be in a cubicle. You will suffer, right? You have to have a more diverse friendship network. You will feel like always underappreciated or stifled. Okay. So that is the essence of the life path 3. It can showcase itself in more public personas. Sometimes you're going to see that as an indicator of this person needs to have fame to support them. And sometimes it's just about you need to have, access to people being influenced by you in a helpful manner. And that's what it is. All right. So we're going into the 4 energy of the life path. I love everyone coming in to say hi. Vanessa, Dilek, Caprice, I love it. Vanessa says, how does depression affect your life numbers? So I'll be taking questions like as I talk, right? So in every vibration, you have, optimum energy, and then you have energy that is not expressed. So you have flow or challenge. And when numbers are too challenged, they will enter depressive states. Okay. So it's basically like you can't feel like you express yourself, so you shut down. Right. And it could be because you're not in the right environment with other people, or you're dealing with something of a spiritual, battle for yourself, and you don't know what you want and why you're making the decisions that you're doing. It could be something very self-imposed, but most times, people know what naturally works for them. Most times it's because they're not in the right environment and they're not getting the proper support and their numbers shut down. Okay. So, what will happen is depression or other things that go on in life will showcase the more negative effects of the numbers. So there's no negative or positive number, but it will showcase the more negative aspects. So I think like a 2 is, like we talked about 2 just a moment ago. 2 is a very good example. Like when someone's overtly emotional, like they call it like the terrible 2s, right? Or like, just when you have kids around the age of 2, they call it the terrible 2s because it's just like they're inconsolable. They're just very fussy around that time. And so 2s are naturally very, very emotional people because they are so empathetic naturally, right? We talked about that. And when they are not getting their needs met because they're so aware of other people's needs and they're so connected to what peace versus discord is, if they're not being taken care of, they will be very reclusive or they will be emotionally explosive because they just don't feel like anyone cares about them the same way that they're caring about others. 3s, they inspire. 3s are very uplifting and they inspire like a lot of laughter. And sometimes it's like, they're like, don't worry, don't go into the depths or worries of life. Don't worry. So sometimes 3s can be a little bit too surface because they're like, don't feel the bad stuff, chin up, just deal with the light stuff. Let's put on a show. Let's put on distraction. Right. So the 3 can be like a little bit too much of a Peter Pan energy. Just fly away, right? On the flip side, the 3 can have really biting words because they're so articulate and flexible with their language. But usually, since they're not wanting to go into darker depths with their words, you won't see that as much. It's more the Peter Pan energy. Okay. So think about, there's a lot to talk about with, when we are not in our power, when we are just trying to survive, what comes out within our numbers too as well. Someone's talking about number 3 is like the third house on the birth chart. Oh, I love it. So there's crossovers with astrology, right? Number 3 is like, this is a good way to think about it, because there are with archetypes in astrology and numerology, there's crossover, but the archetypes are different at the same time. So Dilek, think about it like this. A life path 3 is similar to house 3 and a house 10 as well. The 10th house and the 3rd house in astrology, because the 10th house deals with public persona. Okay. And the more 3s you have, the more you're kind of pushed into some of that public persona, or the option to have that. There's other houses. Oh yeah. Sometimes the first house is similar to the vibration of 3 too, because it's you're forced to develop the self, and you're a little bit more ambitious, and you have to put yourself out there. But it's the 10th house as well, and the 3rd house that highlight the life path 3 energy, like kind of uniquely. So crossovers of archetypes. All right. That was an astrology meets numerology question. And I mean, we can really get into it, right? That's why it's so fun. Caprice, when getting your numbers, do you use the name, or do you go by, or your birth name? Great question. So that's a show within itself. When you get your numbers, you use the number of what you find when you break down your name with what you go by, because that is your most current energy within the world. With the names, you have to use your current energy. If you want to look at the history of your life, and how your life path is influenced. So this is very important too. You do go back to your birth name. What's on your birth certificate? Okay. So your birth certificate and the name on it is very important. It doesn't matter if you were adopted and or you didn't have a name at birth. You were given a certain vibration with the words of how you came into the world, even if it's not your true name to this day. And you have to take that. What did you enter the world with? That shapes your life path. It really does. It puts so much emphasis on it. But you get to change and create yourself ultimately. And so that's the power of your name, and how it really, really, it needs to be what you feel most like yourself as in at the current time when you're doing your chart. The name is very important. The name has to be very accurate. So, okay. 4, let's go into 4. Okay. Oh, and someone says, I said more about the communication. Yeah, exactly. The 3rd house and the vibration of 3. Correct. There's the crossover that is more just, yes, it's communications. Exactly. Lovely. So 4 with the life path, it's all about consistency. 4 is a very hardworking number. 4 is disciplined. 4 is pragmatic. 4 likes for things to have routine. The 4 is an avid learner of knowledge and likes to share knowledge. It's the student/teacher vibration. So if you have a lot of 4 in your chart, you will find that these people are lifelong learners, where they'll probably return back to school. They'll have interest in getting their master's or their doctorates, or they're constantly in some type of class, because that's what keeps them alive. That's what keeps their brain fresh. And they feel like they can have fun with being in education. Not everyone is, some people feel very constricted by education, but 4s usually thrive. They're like, I want to see the way other people look at the world. And it makes me think. It keeps me going. 4 is a very physical but airy vibration. It needs structure. It needs grounding. So it needs that consistency. It needs something to be real. So fours really scrutinize things. They go, does this add up? Does this go together? It's not easily moved. Four is also a more slower moving vibration because it needs to just slowly account for and to really establish its consistency. It needs to establish its rhythm. So when you have people with four energies, as long as they are in a positive state in their life, you're going to have a dependable person. You're going to have a person who makes lists. You're going to have a person that is reliable with the way that they show up for you or within their job. That four energy actually breathe. It's like the tortoise and the hare story. It's kind of the tortoise energy, even though, believe me, it can get a lot done. It can go quite fast, a four, because it does have that airy energy. Okay. But within its earth energy, it's quite slow because it goes, we need to do this way in order for it to be right. Okay. And we can't rush things. What happens is it leads to people being way more productive than the average person. It leads to people actually having more success than the average person as long as they're faithful and diligent. So you sometimes will see like people who are very successful, and you go, wow, you're successful not necessarily for this or that, but you're successful because you're such a hard worker and you want to work hard and it gives you pleasure to work hard. So doesn't seem always like the most exciting number sometimes, but it can showcase that people are going to get what they want. And they can be really a lighthouse for others if they have matured, because they bring this safe space of, okay, I show up every day like this, and this is just who I am. And I don't have to be, five different things. I'm here. I'm here. I love it because for life paths, you can tell that, they need to have that return of familiarity, and they feel comfortable and safe around people. The 9 to 5 can appeal to a four vibration if there's predominance of four energy. Definitely, they like the routine. Okay, so all right, let's see. I love the astrology like questions too. We will bridge the gap because people know astrology archetypes, but they don't always know numerology archetypes. So it bridges the gap. I love it. D-Like is asking, as a Pisces, consistency is like one step forward, two steps back. Oh yeah, it can be, right? Yeah, it can be, because you're always like inspired by something kind of greater than yourself, and you kind of have to course correct. Yeah. Pisces is a fun energy. It really is. It's similar to the vibration of 9 Pisces, actually. All right. So 5. Yeah, we are in a 5 energy right now. So the vibration of 5, especially how it correlates to life path. This is the energy of freedom and variety. Okay. It does not like to be bogged down. It wants options. People with 5 have come to life to fulfill their adventure, their sense for what is possible, and they want to experience that as much as possible. They want to travel. They want to see different cultures. They want to meet different types of people. They don't, unless they've really come to a certain part within their life, they don't want to be bogged down in relationships. They don't. They want to have fun. 5 is the number of like partying. It's a little hedonistic at times. 5 is a very physical number too, as well. It's airy as well. So the airiness of 5 comes where it's just so quick. It's like almost mercurial sometimes. Like, okay, we're going to do this. Okay, I'm inspired to do this. Okay, now I know what I want. I need to go and I need to get it. It's so mercurial, but with its ideas, but it's so physical because everything has to be actually done. Everything has to be tasted, touched. It has to be hands-on. They're not book learners. They're really smart, but they're not book learners. They need to be hands-on to feel fully stimulated within the adventure. And they make things happen. If they don't wonder about booking that trip, they book that trip. Um, Exercise is very important. Being in their body is really important. So a lot of them are athletic, or have jobs where they have freedom that allows them, not to be burnt out, to make sure their physical body is accounted for. They need that autonomy to be themselves. Work can be a 9 to 5, or work can really highlight what they can be within. Let's say you travel within your work, or let's say you're always taking on new roles within your work. They need to have the spice of life. They need to be like, okay, I've done this, now I'm bored. What's next? And so they're career jumpers most times. They're not like corporate ladder climbers, they're career jumpers. And the only time you'd see a corporate ladder climber, or someone like really fixated on promotions in 5 energy, is if every next level offered them something very new within their job. It'd have to be a unique circumstance, because they get bored so easily. Life path 5s, people with a lot of 5 energies, they get bored. That's why relationships, they need different flavors. They need different experiences. They need to not have the same old, same old. There has to be a sense of peace within the 5 to go, okay, I want this now, but that doesn't keep them down. They're going to still be like expansive and seeking in other areas of their life if they have a little bit stability. Okay. So 5 needs to be the adventurer. 5 needs to be free. 5 does not like to be told what to do. 5 will excommunicate you if you tell them what to do. Okay. It's very, very matter of fact with that. And they're not going to tell you. So like a 3 might tell you like, hey, this is what's going on. A 5 is just going to do it. Okay, very physical number with how they activate themselves. And 5 also is a very extroverted number. In order to get things done, they have to be out and about. They have to be out and about. Okay. So let's see here. I like people are saying like very true. Oh, if you're a 5 and a Virgo, so the 5 is going to apply to you like I just said, but the Virgo is going to make you much more meticulous, and you're going to be a little bit of you're going to be very preferred. So it's, how can I put it? The 5 would actually make someone be like, I'm not concerned about quality, I want quantity. But your Virgo is going to make you much more concerned about quality. You want things to be done right. You want to have experiences that are high quality. Okay. So it's going to temper some of that 5 a little bit. Even though they're both very earthy. Okay. So LOL. I love it. All right, let's go. Does 5 represent a particular planet? Oh, that's a great question. I mean, the planets come back to astrology too. Um, it does. I would have to think about it. Like 5 energy sometimes can be like Uranus. That's not a home run slam dunk, but like Uranus is like, I want freedom to be, I don't like rules. Don't give me rules. I'm going to do what I want. But Uranus also has very 9 energy too as well. You know what I mean? So again, these are crossovers of archetypes. It's not sometimes a one size fit all from, astrology to planetary. But there's going to be overlapping concepts where I could be like, oh, if I think about it, Uranus, if you want to talk about planetary energy, it's going to have this vibration and this vibration in it. Absolutely. When you really know numbers, you can say it's going to be like this. Okay. So I love that question. How do 5 and 9 get along? Great question, actually. 5 and 9 get along well. They're not the most harmonious numbers. How can I put this? I don't want to be confusing. So in numerology, there's harmonious numbers and great affinity, and you operate from the nearly the exact same flow of channel. And then there's challenge numbers, right? Where you operate from opposite ends. And then there's stuff in the middle where it's like you will operate well, things will go very well. It's just sometimes you got to course correct. Or sometimes you're going to be operating the same way and you just got to make sure that you understand that you complement each other. You're not 100% the same, but you complement each other. You don't clash. So nines and fives, they actually complement each other in a way where it's not clash and it's not like utter flow. Okay. It's like the middle grounds. And the way that they relate actually is because nines and fives do freedom very well. Nines are like, I'm impartial, like go live your life, go do what makes you happy. As long as it's the right thing to do, that's the only thing I'm concerned with. That's how a nine is. As long as it kind of feels right to me, that's the only thing I'm concerned with. And their definition of right is very gray. Their definition of right is very open-minded. It's very spiritual. It's very open-ended. It's like whatever, just it's if it's right for you, right? So, and then the five is like no rules. Life has to be explored. Rules bog me down. So rules bog down the nines and the fives, and that's why they get along, and that's why you have some of that Uranus energy. Okay. So it's actually, yeah, great question. That makes sense. Yikes. I love it. I love it. This is great. And then you have the flip side. Fours, we just talked about four energy. Fours love rules. Love rules. Sevens, they appreciate rules, right? Right? So sixes love rules too. So do you understand? You have certain numbers that operate really well with responsibility and devotion and, being around others in a certain manner that is defined, and others rebel it and they're like, no, I don't want that. I want whatever goes and whatever works. And I don't want to feel stifled. Okay. So that's why we get into these conflicts with other people, because we don't operate the same way. And we can either make peace or complement each other within our differences, or we can clash and really get into some really, really lifestyle arguments. And it's like no one's wrong. We just have preferences. That's what it is. It's all preferences. It doesn't matter how beautiful, attractive you are to a person, or, it's just like, do your preferences line up, or can you support each other in your preferences? If you can't, it's going to be really difficult. Just find someone you flow with, or you can appreciate, right? And honor each other as you flow your own way. That's what I have to say. Okay, so we're in six territory now. So sixes, they are all about serving. How can I serve you? So with careers, sometimes you will notice people within the military, nurses, doctors. These people want to use hard work as a way to love others. Okay. So fours are very hardworking and sixes are very hardworking. They're hardworking for very different reasons. The four is a little bit more self-actualized hard work. And the four, yeah. And the six is, I'm going to do this because I'm going to help others. All right. I'm going to do this because I want to give this to others. They both can be very selfless with their actions. Don't get me wrong. It's not about self-centeredness. It's just certain numbers are more self-actualized and others are more group actualized. And that's just how it is. And so like the 3, 6s, and 9s, they're more group actualized numbers. They're very social numbers. Okay. So 6 is a very maternal vibration. It wants to take care of you. It wants to protect you. Like even if you're a man, okay, it might come out in a more masculine way, but there is a nurturing quality to that 6 always, that protective quality. right? They want to look out for others and be a parental figure or a leader that brings people together. So they're very generous. They want to uplift people. They want people to believe in themselves. And so, with that protective vibe, though, they'll ostracize people that they feel like bring down the group or are not positive. So they can be a bouncer, or they pull people in and say, "Hey, you're one of us," or you can be, like let's all do this together. And they just want appreciation, okay? But sixes, people are drawn to them. They have very magnetic energy because they have all this just energy ready to go to give. Sixes, when someone has a lot of sixes in their chart, they have this abundance of energy where it doesn't matter if they don't sleep well or eat well, they're still raring to go because they have all this service built in them. They're operating by something very beyond themselves. They can go really hard. Okay. So generosity, hard work, and appreciation are very important themes for a six. And a lot of times, family is the number one focus for a six. Sometimes they will focus on family so much they actually don't cultivate friendships as much, even though that's kind of natural for them to. It's just their family is their world, their family is their life. And then if it's an unconventional family, it's going to be like my friends become my family. But there has to be some type of home base that they really can give most of their love and devotion to. They need to serve. Okay. Six says, is being a people pleaser, is that a shadow aspect of the six? No, actually, it can be. Don't get me wrong. There's themes. A people pleaser is a shadow side, I would say, of a two and a three more so than a six. The two is just like, I feel you so hard that it's like, why won't you be nice to me? Or what can I do for you? I feel you so much. Like I want to, I can't help but feel these things. So can I just do this for you? Can I appease you? Can I be a peacemaker and make this better for you? Or the three is I want to put on a show. I'm a gesture. How can I make you happy? How I don't want you to be sad. I want you to smile. Will you smile for me? Okay. The six, when it's more shadow, is like you didn't listen to me and now you will suffer the consequences. It's the strict mother. It's the strict, disciplined mother. How dare you? How dare you not appreciate what I have done for you? How dare you? How dare you disobey what is of only greatest help to you? Okay, I will cast you out. I will cast you out, or I will take away my resources from you because you do not appreciate me. Six shadow can be very harsh in its maternal nature, very harsh because six on its shadow side, it's a control freak. It's like, it can be a little puppet master like. It's just like, I have the power to make things better for people. I have the power to save people. I have the power to be so generous and charismatic and make things better. Um, so you didn't appreciate it. Now I will take that all away. And, you know, you've cast the shadow on me and I've cast a shadow on you now. It can be it can be a little like woo. All right. The every shadow aspect can be very horrible. It's just the six. So the six is a little extra with the way it's felt sometimes because the six and its positive is so over the top and generous. It's so over the top and serving. It's so over the top and selfless. Does that make sense? It wants to be that. It has all this energy to be that. So imagine if you flip it, it has all this energy to be like, how dare you? It has all this energy to be like, I was with you, now I'm against you. Does that make sense? That's why it's so extroverted. With sometimes it's like, whoa. They're all whoa, don't get me wrong. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let me get into the seven energy. Hi, Myra. It's great to see you. I always love seeing you. I'm giving you a huge hug. Thank you for the happy birthday. It's my birthday week. It is. It started on Sunday with if you were to start with Sunday, right? Um, it's my birthday week. It's funny to think about, but it's cool. It's nice. All right. So, 7, the life path of 7. We're going to have to do these really quick, and then I'm going to take a couple of readings because there's always so much to talk about with numerology. And I love that people are so interested with asking these questions. I absolutely adore and love it. So, the life path of 7 and the themes of 7, they are all about the mind, the intellect, and how it can rise to meet the spirit. So 7 is a very spiritual number, but before it can be spiritual, it's very analytical, it's very logical, it's very considering. So you have people that will stay in those high mental realms. You can even have you will see a lot of genius within people, or people will believe you're a genius with certain expressions of the 7. You will stay in that mental realm, or you can pair it with, you know, I have validation in so much within my experiences that now my logic meets faith. And that faith comes from such a pure and conscious place that it's almost logical to have faith. Okay. So they have to have occurrences within their life where they are meeting things with such consideration and such um focus that they go, how could I think any other way? How could I think any other? Well, wow. Hey, thank you, Lily. That's really, really sweet. Thank you so much. Wow. Um, Lily, you're a doll. Thank you so much. So within the 7 energy, you're going to get into places where you're going to have logic, like computers, mathematics, science. When someone has ascended, they'll go more into the spirituality realm of let's figure this out together because this is the truth. It's like mathematics. A plus B, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I got the equation. Okay. There's too much consistency here. It has to be this. Let's share the truth. Let's share what just is. I'm on a quest for truth. I'm not distracted by it. I'm deliberate in it. The 7 is the truth seeker. Okay. It's the investigator. Okay. It uncovers truth. That's what it does. It stacks up things and eliminates the things. It stacks up what's real and eliminates what's not real. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. It casts it away. So the 7 energy, you have to have a place and a space within your mind where you can go to those depths. You can go to those levels. And so it's a very airy vibration. It's very sensitive too. It's also very psychic number 7, but it's a very mentally and airy vibration. So a 7 is not as empathetic in its psychic nature. It's more a knower. Okay. Or it's more of an experiencer of the high mind within its psychic. Clairvoyance sometimes comes up, a little bit more naturally at times. Its job is to look at things and ponder life's meaning and existence. Its job is to stoke the fires of why. Okay. So when you have somebody who doesn't have faith within their life, or they haven't had experiences that go beyond their mind, because you really can be the prison of your own mind in a 7 if you have a lot and you're not, having the most flow. You will become a person that's quite cynical or critical. Okay. So that's the kind of sometimes depths of the other side of the 7. Oh my goodness. We gotta hit the different numbers. Okay. So 8, the 8 is a search for truth as well, but it's very physically manifestation. It's a physical manifestation of truth rather than a cerebral experience of truth. 8s are shifters. 8s either deal with abundance or setback. Their life is amplified right back at them, and they say, the energy of your life says back to you, this works. Okay, we're going to make you money. This works. We're going to open the way for you. We're going to bring you success. This does not work for you. We're going to give you health problems. This does not work for you. We're going to give you setbacks. So that 8 energy is a boomerang of truth. It's a very, a, like I said, great reward or great consequence. You have to be listening to who you are as a soul and operating with those laws, and just that physical energy permeates from you. It's like, okay, we can create, or you didn't listen to yourself, you will crumble. 8 forces you to take responsibility. It's a number of justice. It deals with law. Okay. It deals with divine law. It in the physical realm, it does deal with like the courts and government a lot too, but it deals with divine law. You cannot escape the truth. Okay? And in a 7 vibration, you deal with illusion versus truth. And an 8 vibration, you deal with consequence versus truth. Okay? So, and then we're jumping to 9 really quick. 9 is a very spiritual number as well. It embodies all the other qualities of the numbers, and it's a very selfless number. It's very open minded. It deals with a lot of gray. Black and white isn't so much a thing for 9. It looks at the world very differently, with progressive and elevated concepts. It's a number of high. It's a number of genius too, as well, because embodies all the numbers. But it deals a lot of times with very high creative realms. So it's 3 times 3. So it's a triple 3, right? And so you have people who naturally can access talents and capabilities much more easier than your average person. They're not going to be concerned with that. So they have high capability, and they have a natural feeling and empathy to go, I should help my fellow friend. I should help my family member. Even if it's against their better judgment, they have very poor boundaries, because they just go, what is what is what is. And if it's feels like intrinsically like I should do this, it's okay to ignore boundaries. It's okay to ignore rules. Let's go here. Okay. So you can actually find 9s as very elevated spiritual people that glow, or you can find them as sometimes very surly people that just kind of get by. Um, it's the full spectrum. They're very comfortable with darkness. So again, you can have these very um, altruistic people that have embraced their darkness, and they're very well balanced, and they're very good leaders. They don't choose to be it, but they're just very natural good leaders. Or you could have people that operate from a lot of shadow concepts, because they are just like, well, that's a way of life. You know, what's so bad about the darkness? That's the way of life. It's real. So you have people who are very comfortable in being in their darkness. 9 is a very spiritual number, though, that walks both sides to life, in that gray sense where anything goes. But they do have very good hearts. So even if they walk in a little bit more avant-garde way, or they walk in a way where you go, that's kind of weird, they do it because it feels right to them. They do it because it's what feels real to them. And so actually, they're going to be quite kind most often amongst their expressions that does seem maybe a little bit odd or unkind. A lot of times they're going to be there in what they have chosen, because that's their truth. That's their own personal. They walk very naturally in their own truth, and they kind of shake off all the rest. So very interesting concepts. At the end of the day, 9s want to help wherever they go. It's a very eclectic number with how it finds itself. But when you see a lot of 9 energy, you have somebody that has the capabilities to really be very successful if they want to be. It's a matter of what do you really want and what's stopping you. Okay. Um, Let's see here. Let's take a couple. If I'm going to take a couple birthdays really quick in honor of the show. So if you want any questions about your numbers, just pop down your numbers as we wrap up this beautiful debut show. Libra is the 7th sign of the zodiac. Yes, Libra is, and the it's very interesting because these are one of the numbers that are so different. The 7th house in the zodiac for Western astrology, it deals with relationships. It's like, it's the descendant line and all that. And Libra is very aware of appearances. Libra is very diplomatic. The 7 is very unconcerned with that at times. The 7 in numerology is very much of the self and introverted. But when the 7 is around people, it's very calculated, like the Libra, very calculated, where they're mysterious. They're very calculated with what they choose to give out. They're very controlled with other people. So for a 7 that is more social, they will come into the room very put together, very specific with their choices. And they will do so in a way where it's almost like pickup artist energy. I know that sounds a little weird, but it's almost like I'm doing these things because I know this can get me what I want. I'm doing these things because it gives me the outcome that I'm looking for. And I don't share these things with you because I'm trying to put myself in my best light forward, because life is a perception and I want to give you the highest perception that you can think of me. Okay. So that's how it comes out with Libra energy, the 7. But yeah, in numerology, 7 operates on very different energies than in astrology. But they're both very like, very, very like, I'm going to be controlled with my energy, or I'm going to be very put together with my energy. The refinement is the word. Libra in the 7th house versus numerology, the vibration of 7, it's all about refinement. That's where it's exactly the same essence of refinement. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. So, okay. Pop down your birthday caprice. Cool. I'll take you in a second. And that's how we'll go into it. Lily's asking, is a 119 equal to 9, 11, or 20? A 119 is equal to a 2. It would be a 20 vibration. Correct. Actually, forgive me. Yeah. No. It is a 20. It's not a 20 actually, because what you're doing is, I'm slowing down my brain for a second. It's a 2 vibration, okay? It's a 2 vibration because you have to add it across. But it's an 11. Yeah, it's an 11. My brain short-circuited for a second. It's a 2 vibration, but it's a 211 because you're doing 1 plus 1 plus 9. 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Does that make sense? And so it broke down to an 11. So it's a master vibration of an 11, but an 11 has to be broken down because it's not a single digit number. So it's a 2. So a 119 is an 11 2. Okay. So it's not a 20, it's an 11 2. But you will look at it as a 2 vibration with the 11 connotation. That's how it goes. Cool. Thank you. Thank you for the love. All right. So with Caprice, you are 625. Okay, Caprice. Caprice is an attitude 4, a personal day 7, and a life path. And a life path 9, I believe. Let me just do the math. Yep, 5. Okay. and she's a life path 9, and then Caprice is in a cycle of 2. So Caprice, being in a cycle of 2, this is a more emotional year for you. Okay. When we are in cycles of 2, that means there is an energy that we come into for the whole entire year. It changes every year. And the energy will permeate month to month of you just realizing that you're a little bit more triggered with your emotions. So you're going to be a little bit more angry and more sad on average, but it's an invitation to go within and to be like, wow, I'm feeling this stronger than ever. And it's a good thing because when we feel, we're able to process and we're able to have comfortability within our body on a different level and understand our needs on a different level. So we actually can be much more at peace. But first, we have to experience the unsettling. So, 2 is an emotional vibration, waves, water, right? It's very watery vibration. So, expect a lot of waves where you feel way more calm, but feel way more like, oof, like I didn't feel this way last year, right? So it deals with self care. A cycle of 2 is great because it usually indicates love coming back into your life, increased love of self. Sometimes it's a fur baby, sometimes it's a relationship. It could be finding a new friend. But during a cycle of 2, you are bound to open up self love or meet a kindred soul where you go, God, thank you. This is the reason for living because I feel like there's something more than myself to celebrate life with. This is what makes life beautiful. 2 is a very, very lovely time, but it's full of feelings. Okay. So just weather the storm and appreciate the love and really give that to yourself. So that comes in. Mike, let's see, you gave me 317. All right. So you're an attitude 2, Mike, and you're a personal day 8. Okay, cool. So having a personal day number means the way that other people see you on first impression. Okay. So your friends won't think this necessarily because they know you. They're not going to be like impressed by just who you feel like. They know you, they know way more to you, right? They spent time with you. But your personal day number comes into effect with people that don't know you first impressions. Okay. So the 8 is a very sturdy number. So when you walk into the room, people will usually notice you. The 8 number is a confidence feeling number because of its sturdiness. It just is, right? And so I've mentioned this on the show multiple times, but the 8 is polarizing for people because they'll be like, I'm aware of this person's presence. Like they feel really confident. Who does this person think they are? Or they'll actually like fawn over you in a way where they're just like, wow, this person is confident. Like, I really feel comfortable in this person's presence. So you can be very likable on first impression, or people will actually be intimidated or unsure on first impression because that 8 comes in and it is noticed. Okay. But usually the 8 comes in with feeling very reliable because it's like that grounding, sturdy earth number. Okay. So that's kind of fun. But your attitude is a 2. So being an attitude 2, people are very naturally sensitive to others from a very, very young age. And they have a very good BS meter. We talk about this on the show a lot too. I know Mike. So I'm just like, Mike, I'm not just saying this because I know you. I'm saying this because I say this for everybody else because it's the law of the 2 vibration. Okay. Yeah. And so people come in to situations and they feel like they're natural people like readers. They know how to protect themselves. No one's perfect, right? But they understand people's intentions very easily because they are sensitive on that level to the emotions and thoughts of others. Okay. And you will find that you need to recharge a lot because that 2 energy will make you a little bit drained if you're doing too much for others. If you're around others, you need your recharge time, or you will get sick, or you'll feel very off. You'll feel very imbalanced. With great power comes great responsibility. So if you're not taking care of yourself, you will get hit very hard. But that 2 energy makes you have a wonderful BS reader. All right. And the final thing I'm going to say is you're in a cycle of 9. So a cycle of 9 is it's a spiritual time. It makes you kind of go, okay, I'm coming into a new way of being. What worked for me once doesn't quite work the same. I want different things. How am I going to go about those different things? But the 9 energy moves so fast that you're not going to have time to actualize that this year per se. You can have little pockets, but family will really call on you to be the focus. This number requires you to have a lot of forgiveness for family, a lot of compassion for family, and a lot of attention on family. But this number it deals with death of what once formerly worked for us. So you're coming into a new state of being, and next year you'll activate that much more easily with what you find to be your different views, values, and opinions. But with that said, good luck, Mike, with that. Cycle 9, it's a little bit of a doozy sometimes, but you feel more and more like yourself as you walk through the year. So stay in that. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. And again, thank you, Lily Rose, for your generosity. I'm very appreciative for your birthday love. And everyone, thank you so much for coming in. We did a little bit of readings. We talked about life path. We talked about all the vibrations. And going forward, we're going to talk about like the week's energy and forecast too as well. It's going to be a multi-variety fun show with what numbers give us. With that said, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Please continue to pop down all your numbers and your numerology questions as we go forward. There were so many that I even didn't get to answer, and I was so happy with your enthusiasm for learning about numerology. It's really my pleasure and my heart to share this with you. With numerology, heart can always enter the equation. I hope to see you next week. With that said, I give you a lot of love, luck, light, and I wish you laughter. Don't forget to live. And I will see you for the psychic hour still today, okay? So see you then, and be well, everybody.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.